people who create all this beautiful art, different, alternative realities. I mean, these days also with AI, right, there are so many different things you can do in terms of like, hello you guys, what is up, what's going on? Today we are doing a little bit of a different video. Today we're going to be talking about the topic that I'm sure interests all of you, because you guys are always asking. This is one of the most, I want to say, popular questions, outside of love, obviously, for whether it's tarot readings or astrology readings. So I want to quickly actually give you a couple of tips on how you can identify within your own chart how you're making money, how are you likely going to become wealthy. And of course, it is impossible to cover all of this information within one video, so I'm just going to give you something to get started on, yourself, even as a beginner. And actually, if you want a deep analysis of this area of your chart in your own astrology chart, there is a special one-on-one consultation that I added that only covers that area in in-depth analysis. So anyway, without any further ado, let's get started. So how do you see how you make money, how you create resources in your life within your astrology chart? What are the steps to that? So the first step, of course, you do need to generate your chart. I hope that most of you by now know how to generate your chart. If you do not know, just go in the description box. There is going to be a link to one of the websites where you can do this. And once you generated your astrology chart, there are a couple of things that you need to pay attention to. So first of all, most of you will find out your ascendant sign, right? So let's just say your Scorpio ascendant. In that case, you will have Sagittarius in your second house. Let's just say you're a Taurus ascendant. In that case, you will have Gemini in your second house, Libra ascendant, Scorpio in your second house, and so on and so forth. Now, some of you who do not know your time of birth, it gets a little bit tricky, because you do need to know your time of birth, so that you can actually see what very specific information in astrology. I know we these days upload so much general tarot readings and even general horoscopes. However, if you do not have your time of birth, what you can do is essentially apply this information, which again, it's going to be a little bit less accurate, but this still will resonate. For example, I'm a Taurus sun, and whatever is happening with Gemini and with Mercury does apply to me to a certain degree. Of course, it's never going to supersede the chart with the actual ascendant. But essentially, if you do not know your time of birth, if you just know your sun sign, whether it's Scorpio, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, whatever it is, just look at the second sign from it, which planet it rules by, and apply some of this information as well. So again, we will focus specifically, of course, here on people who know their time of birth on the actual astrological chart, because this is how, it is done correctly, right? And there's going to be timestamp provided to, if you want to just jump straight into the placements that I'm going to be discussing. But first, actually, let me explain you what we are looking at. So when we are analyzing how somebody is likely to make money throughout their life, how they are likely to attract wealth, there are a couple of things we're looking at. First is, of course, the second house. Second house represents your resources, the resources that are available to you, your talent, your self-confidence, your sustenance in life overall. Second house is connected to material possessions, to things that you earn, your income. Just in any way you generate resources, you generate finances. So second house is going to be extremely important. The planet that sits there, the ruler of the second house, actually the emphasis is more so even on the ruler of second house than on the planet. And what we want to do is we want to find which house does the ruler of the second house sits in. So for example, if you're Scorpio rising, you will have Sagittarius in your second house. Jupiter will be ruling Sagittarius, and then you need to find where Jupiter sits in the chart. Is it in the 7th house? Is it in the 3rd, in the 8th? Wherever it is, your astrology chart will contain that information. And honestly, as simple as it is, this is kind of like level 1, which already will give you the most basic information about how you generate resources, how you generate money. Where the second house ruler is, this is, usually kind of like, it's impossible that that's not likely going to be accurate. Now, this is not the only way. Usually what I do in professional consultations is I look at the combination of things. Starting with, of course, what I just told you, second house, where the ruler is, what is the planet sitting in the second house, what in general is the condition of Venus, because Venus is a natural significator of the second house, what is where is Taurus sign placed in astrology chart, what is the condition, of the house where Taurus is sitting. So you see, like, even with this, with the second house overlay, there's already quite a few things we need to take a look at. Now, Jupiter is another great benefic, and wherever Jupiter is placed, whether or not Jupiter is the ruler of your second house, will also give you an indication where the blessings in your life are. Where in general, whenever you pursue that path, more blessings open up. And of course, sustenance is one of the blessings, financial prosperity is one of the blessings. So spirituality and financial prosperity are actually greatly connected, even astrologically. So it's one of the big lies, I think, that more also organized religion has told the world, and I see sometimes even in spiritual community this lie being entertained, how spirituality, money, resources are not the same thing, or they are so different. It's not true. It's extremely false. I don't even know what's the best way to express that. So Jupiter will show you where the blessings are. Take a look at the house and at the sign where it is placed, and check the timestamp, because essentially what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide the timestamp for whatever the second house ruler is, but you can apply the same information to Jupiter as well. In general, it's kind of like, again, it's hard to go through each significator and what it does in that house. In that house, this is what we do in professional consultation. And when we do the professional consultation, when somebody does your analysis of your chart professionally, they search for trends, for different things, for different combinations. And it's kind of like, what you want to do is you want to see certain patterns, you want to put them together, because, it's like, it's a craft of readings. But anyway, what else do we want to say here? Another significator of how you could make money, become successful, believe it or not, it is your North Node. Why is it your North Node? Because North Node is highly connected to your destiny, pursuing your destiny. Who are you meant to be in this world? And sometimes the way you make money may be day to day, and your actual destiny could be at odds with each other. I, for example, have not exact square, but there is some stressful aspect between my North Node and my 8th house planets. And, it's an interesting way how it plays out, is that sometimes security, is more important than taking risks, which is something we need to find balance with, right? So North Node will give you a great indication of where in general you will step up in the higher version of yourself, what your soul wants to learn. And sometimes it will be very, very much in alignment with also how you make money. Other times, again, you will need to be finding that balance. However, when you pursue your North Node, whatever it is, naturally, opportunities for abundance, for prosperity will arise as well. So it could be, again, depending on the chart, there could be maybe an alignment, a complete alignment of your job, like your job is your entire life purpose. Sometimes I see this in the charts. Other times you do need to find balance between home, family, some kind of spiritual quests you could be having, some kind of creative endeavor. It really depends. Now, let's go back to the track. Additional things that we're not going to really cover in this video, but something that I do want to mention is what's also very, very important is the 11th house, because it does represent the gains from your career path. So 11th is the second from the 10th. That's something that's called derivative houses. This will give us another indication. How is the person paid well from their career? Is it a well-paid career path? So there are different things like this we're looking at. Of course, 11th house is in general your gains in life. It's your network, and there is even a saying in English, I believe, right? Your network is your net worth, right? Your influence, your ability to reach other people. So 11th house will be important for that too. 10th house, of course, your public status, your public image, it does influence your career, your efforts, everything you do, your brand, your personal brand could be. 9th house is in general your luck in life, kind of like education that you have. Your connection to mentors even could be seen from the 9th house. So technically, there is much more we can see in your astrology chart that will all kind of support a general theme and give us some extra clues. So yes, I do recommend, of course, whenever you have a chance, either booking a consultation or yourself taking, a very thorough look through your chart and you know, seeing, kind of like trying to notice the patterns, trying to see if something specific stands out to you. I think I didn't actually mention part of fortune. So part of fortune is another, it's not actually an actual planet. It is one of the Arabic points. So Arabic astrology is one of the, I think, like one of the ones that gave a lot of contribution to astrology. There are different parts, lots. They are calculated mathematically. I mean, these days you don't need to calculate anything. You can just Google part of fortune and, you know, type into your placements. You do need to know your ascendant for this, and it will calculate your part of fortune. Part of fortune is another point in your astrology chart that does represent where your blessings in life are. Part of fortune symbolizes in general what will likely increase your luck, what will likely increase your opportunities, your fortune. You know, it is called part of fortune for a reason, including obviously financial opportunities. So check also the sign, the house where it sits in. What is extra lucky is one, for those of you maybe who are a little bit more advanced, is whenever we see a connection, let's just say with second house, and let's just say part of fortune, wherever the house it sits with Jupiter as well. So like we look for extra different combination, extra clues. Honestly, I think it is impossible to like discuss it in a video. Even when I teach them in my courses or with students, we break them down, you know, in different steps. So this is going to be likely though something for you to get started with, to start, you know, connecting to the energy of abundance in your chart. And naturally, as you start focusing more so on abundance that your chart represents, you will see how different opportunities in life start showing up as well. Now in this video today, I do want to talk about something that's a little bit more simple, and it is the second house ruler and the house it sits in. So find your second house ruler, and the timestamp is going to be provided for each of the houses where it could be, and I'll see you at the timestamp. Okay, let me actually walk you through this process. So what you want to do, you want to go to a website like astro.com. Of course, feel free to use any other website of your choice. And what you want to do is you want to click on this button like I'm showing you in this video. You want to click on free horoscopes. Once you are there, you want to click on horoscopes, drawing, and data. After that, you select extended chart selection. And if you've never done that, then in that case, you will just generate your chart, put in your birth information, date of birth, place of birth, time. And once you've done that, one option I want you guys to select when, like, which option was it here actually? Oh yes, zodiacs and houses. In that particular menu, I want you to select whole signs. If I'm not mistaken, that's the right option here. Once you do that, you just generate the chart. So as you can see here, we have somebody, we have a chart, somebody with a Leo ascendant. So since they have Leo ascendant, their second house is Virgo. Now, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So what we want to do, we want to find where Mercury is. So Mercury is in Gemini in the 11th house. Now, you can see that Mercury here visually is in the 11th house, or you can just count manually. Gemini is 11th from Leo. So in this case, their second house ruler is in Gemini in the 11th house. They are Leo rising with Virgo second house. So apply this to your own chart, and I'll see you at the timestamp. Okay, so if your second house ruler is in the first house is the house of self, it's the ascendant, it is, you know, the image that you show to the world. It's your personal, it's one of the most personal points in your chart, because ascendant is your actual physical body. So what happens when the second house ruler goes into the first? Well, that's very interesting. Actually, in the most recent times, this is very often seen in the charts of the people who are self-employed, people who have their own personal brand that usually is very strong, people who make money through their own efforts, you know, their personal brand, who they are. I don't know, like somebody, let's just say, I don't have this combination, but let's just say if I had this combination, I would probably put 100 times more even effort in how I represent myself, how I speak, you know, my personal image, appearance, and things like this. This is something I've seen actually in the charts of a few models. I've seen this also in the charts of people who do social media for a living. Now, I mean, again, 4 years ago, this was less common. These days, it's much more common. But what I want to recommend, if you find yourself with second house ruler in your first house, is to really consider your personal branding. Now, you could be, I don't care, an accountant, you know, an accountant who has some kind of website, maybe meet me page. Hello, this is me, this is the accounting services I offer. Like, I chose accounting because it seems like, one of the least creative, right? Or at least we think of it, right? Professions. I mean, hopefully creative accounting is not a good thing, but you know what I mean? It will significantly boost your ability to create what you want for yourself. It will boost your maybe even income in some way, because personal brand, or just your own personality, even the way you look, how you talk, the way you represent yourself, is extremely important with this position. Now, if you have second house ruler in its own house, in the second house, this is a good position, because this does show that the second house naturally supports itself. Now again, a lot will depend on also additional details, aspects, obviously the planets receiving, and so on and so forth. But the people who have second house in its own house in the second will likely be people who they might work in the industry related to the second house. So this could be banking, this could be financial institutions, this could be even management of resources, especially if Mercury is involved. This could be even restaurant industry. I actually have a friend who owns a few restaurants, and he does have second house ruler in the second in Taurus. I mean, sometimes astrology is super straightforward. Sometimes it's a little more tricky, but often there are quite literal examples of this that I've actually seen. Second house is first from itself. So again, whatever usually you make, it's likely that you will be having stronger ability to save the money that you also earn. This could be people who are actually pretty good with management of resources, and the advice for people who have second house from the second is, yes, manage your resources wisely, save, and there is a connection between also the pleasure that you derive from the things that you are doing. So the work, the more you can the more you can make the work that you're doing pleasant, add Venusian vibe to it, add something beautiful to it. Again, you could have the most simple job. If that's what it is, then that's what it is. But if you add a bit of a Venusian touch, right? If you add a little bit of, whether it's marketing, whether it's just making your office space more beautiful, you will likely see that, the income, the money that you make will start increasing as well. Now, if you have second house ruler in the third, so third house is a house of communication, it's co-workers, it's your immediate short trips around the neighborhood, it's anything that's related to marketing, writing, speaking, quite a common, career path, right? And the third house is also second from the second. So a lot of the money that you make will come through your own efforts, will come through, maybe sometimes it can be a more typical job, more of a regular job with this placement, or something that does involve social media in some way, marketing in some way, your ability to use your communication skills. Now, in most jobs, communication skills are extremely important. However, third house is one of the houses that's related actually to how you make money, because it is the second from the second in derivative astrology houses. So it is extremely important for you to improve your communication skills, your writing, your speaking ability, any kind of practical skills. We could go to school, right, for whatever, philosophy, law, whatever, but practical skills, anything like new things that you can add to your even resume, or just any kind of new interests that you can develop and you can somehow include as part of the package can significantly help you improve your income. And of course, the way you communicate, the way you're able to make friends, maybe even with co-workers, could also greatly help that. Now, if your second house ruler is in the fourth house, so fourth house in astrology is related to home, to property, to real estate, to family. So second house in the fourth could sometimes show that you might be actually part of a family business, working with family members. Maybe there could be something like, let's just say your family owned, okay, let's not go for a restaurant example again, but I don't know, your family maybe own a car company, something like that. So you might be continuing that. Doesn't have to be, but there is usually an influence of family on what you do career-wise. It could also be, I see this quite often in the charts of people who actually do well in the real estate, right? There are a lot of people who do real estate, not necessarily, all of them make an amazing living from that. So one of the things astrology can help us to see if you're actually going to be successful in certain industry, because there's many industries, many people can be successful in them, but can you actually make money there? So it could show you whether you could actually be more lucky when it comes to properties, when it comes to making money off real estate, of any kind of land, could be even as well. Anything that deals even with maternity, motherhood, family, you know, those, what do you call them, medullas, you know, those kind of things could be connected to fourth house as well. Anything that deals with security, anything that deals with protection. Now it depends, of course, here specific planets could bring different results. Sometimes I'm even seeing with Mars being there that somehow these people could be somebody who works in security. It's not, it's not an exception. There are definitely more specific things like this that do occur because, again, theme of fourth house is home, security, protection, family, tradition. So these are some of the possible avenues where this person could make money. And I think in general, whenever we see the second house in the fourth, what's highly recommended is that this person strengthens their relationship with mother, with family. This can actually help them increase their income. I forgot to say for the second and the third, that would be siblings as well. Siblings, co-workers, neighbors. But here, strengthening your relationship with family, because family actually could sometimes help you, introduce you to money-making opportunities, family business, and just, improve things around your home. If you work from home, wow, this could be actually one of the combinations from that. Improving, conditions of your home, your house, your very foundation in life could help you make much better income. Now let's talk about second house in the fifth, second house ruler in the fifth house. So fifth house is connected to creativity, passion projects, children, romantic partners, any kind of fun activities. So very often when we see a person with second house ruler in the fifth, will likely make money through creative endeavors, passion projects, businesses. Speculative activity could be with the fifth house, just of course as always, do be careful there. Your eighth house and your fifth house both need to be in a good condition for you to actually, be good, in that area of your life and in that industry. So anything that brings you joy, anything that brings you fun. In general, if you see a combination of planets maybe in the fifth house, so I don't have the ruler there, but I do have my part of fortune and north node in the fifth house. It's important for you to be enjoying. It's important for you to be having fun with what you're doing, with any placements there, especially second house ruler in the fifth. Self-expression is extremely important with this placement, expressing yourself, not being afraid to stand out. I think with fifth house placements, depending on which planets are there, sometimes there could be a bit of a fear of standing out. Now, again, it depends what's there. Let's just say second house ruler is Jupiter and Jupiter is in the fifth, you could be finding it much more easier to express yourself. It could come to you much more naturally. I have north node there. I'm still learning, how to not be scared to express myself and not just be a part of, everyone looks the same kind of thing, but stand out, own it, own my light. So depending on which planet is there, it could work differently. I've seen, let's just say, if you have debilitated Mars and Cancer in the fifth house, somebody's chart, I forgot whose chart it was, I was recently looking at, had that placement. Now that person, actually I remember who it is now, but that person actually was someone who is actively working to become more, more creative, more artistic, heal the inner child. So all of those things, they're quite literally applying, because Mars is in Cancer there. It is a bit of a journey there, right? Overcoming insecurities, fears, difficulties, and things like this. And if you do have this in your chart, what I do recommend is that you try to find a way, whatever it is you do, you bring some creativity, some creative touch, something that would make your inner child happy, for the lack of a better word. Don't be afraid to be more bold, maybe with marketing, with self-expression. Take some risks. Definitely don't be afraid to take center stage if this is, where your placements are. Fifth house is all about being creative, just because, sometimes people will ask, right, why did you do it that way? I have no idea. I felt it like that, right, at that moment. 11th house is very much about, well, my community wants this, that's what's right, that's, what serves certain purpose. While the fifth house is very much, I felt like it at the moment, I did it. That's why it's creativity. So very, very interesting. Definitely second and the fifth is probably one of my favorite. If you have this placement, definitely like you, because this is a more fun placement. Again, you're making money, having fun, expressing yourself. You could be working with children. You could be also working with entertainment industry. So of course, there's many variables here. Now, what happens if you have second house ruler in your sixth house. Now this could be a placement where you could be working in a more traditional service type of industry. Now I see this, like, again, if you want my, like, outside of, you know, more so whatever, like traditional astrology perspective, something that I've actually also seen times and times again in charts of people, I don't know, many people, thousands probably at this point, that I worked with in over the years. Second house in the sixth, I often see it in healing professions, whether it's a psychotherapist, whether it's actually a medical doctor, whether it's non-traditional healer, like somebody who has an apothecary, somebody who is, what do you call them, somebody who works in like Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, not necessarily always like traditional doctors, even though I've seen that. But very often, especially over the couple of years, I've seen this with people who do something like, you know, healing, even Reiki, massages, like different stuff, essentially. So sixth house is the house of health and healing. It's also the house of service. It is also the house of pets. It's the house of anything you're doing every day with the goal of improving something. Serving, you know, like service industry quite literally could be there. And one recommendation I have for people who have second house ruler in the sixth is to think how you can, whatever it is you do, whatever your job you have, how can you help? How can you heal? How can you be of service to others? Now, I personally used to have a very like negative reaction whenever I would hear word service or be of service, but recently I sort of changed my perspective on that. And actually, believe it or not, but people who have second house ruler in the sixth, which is not a common knowledge, I don't hear people talk about this that much, they tend to make a lot of money just by solving some kind of problem. So if you can solve a problem, I don't know, maybe you're an amazing therapist, maybe you're somebody who is great, I don't know, at building websites, some kind of problem, something that people need assistance with. If you can, you know, market yourself in that way, if you can actually legitimately help people, I mean, if you think about it, it's so amazing. Like, you have something other people need, you actually help people with doing whatever it is you're doing. If you can focus on that, you will always have money. It's like, it's you know, it's guaranteed. But you have to I think have to not be afraid to, you know, like, be humble when it makes sense to you know, to be humble, so to say, and really offer solutions. Because whatever solutions it is that you have, if you can see it like, wow, people actually really need what I have to offer, you know, and find that skill or find that, you know, talent that you have, wow, it can be amazing. It's definitely could be a successful business. You could be self-employed, you could work for someone, but again, find that one thing that helps people or some kind of problem that you can solve, because sixth house is also connected to problem solving. Now, second house ruler in the seventh house. So seventh house ruler is connected with partnerships, contracts, marriage partner, business partner. It is connected with law, legal agreements. Actually, second house ruler in the seventh, I see it very, very often with people who somehow work in law, compliance, documents, agreements, things like this. Very often, like, this is something that definitely is one of the common professions. And in general, what's recommended to increase abundance with this placement is, first of all, always have your partnership agreement signed. Make sure there are agreements, actual partnership, you know, documents that are there. So following kind of like more so of a legal process, whether you need to like incorporate yourself. Of course, I'm not, you know, any kind of legal advice giver, but you know what I mean? Like with seventh house, making sure everything is on point, making sure there are all, you know, contracts that are in the right place, making sure you understand the law, because understanding some legal, you know, copyright, different things, you know, could give you advantage actually in your industry. You know, there might be actually opportunities in your industry which you might not be aware of until you start researching something on a legal scale or with copyrights, different things. And this could represent opportunities for making money. Also, with the second house ruler in the seventh, it's extremely important for you to choose your business partners, collaborators very wisely. And actually, your income could come as a result of a collaboration or a partnership. Seventh house is also related to clients, to customers, to trade. So second house ruler in the seventh is not an uncommon placement for, let's just say, also somebody who works as advisor, as a therapist, maybe as somebody who connects with a lot of clients, on a day-to-day basis, with an audience even could be. So here, there's one of the ways you can also make more income with this placement is to increase your audience, increase your client base, collaborate, enter a partnership, and make sure the paperwork and your understanding of legal process or any kind of advantages you can get in your industry is really, really good. This will help you to increase your income. Now, what happens when the second house ruler goes into your eighth house? So I have this in my chart, so we'll give you all the secrets. Well, eighth house is an interesting one. Eighth house is one of the most, like we like to say in astrology, misunderstood houses. Eighth house connects to things like partners, money, resources of other people. It is the house of the occult. It is the house of astrology. It is the house of anything that's esoteric, hidden knowledge, occult knowledge, tarot, psychic realms. It is the house of sexuality. It is the house of secrets. People who have second house in the ruler in the eighth, oh my goodness, they could make money from so many things that, most people, maybe are like, wow, is this your job? Eighth house is also the house of trauma. It's the house of other people's secrets. So when you have the second house ruler in the eighth, this is very interesting. I almost forgot, eighth house is also connected to things that are hidden underground, the treasure, oil, whatever it is, that's found valuable, precious metals could be as well. And with the second house ruler in the eighth, it's interesting because, well, first of all, yes, you could, if there is a combination with the second house ruler to there could be support from your spouse. Now, that's not always the case, but there could be. Your partner could support you, pamper you, invest in you. There could be inheritances you could receive. In general, it is good to ask other people for resources. Like, let's just say you have a startup, obviously you're raising capital, you need money. With the good eighth house, you are likely to receive the capital that you need. People are likely gonna trust you more. People are likely gonna want to invest in you more. You could be working in tarot astrology industry, in the psychic industry, and actually this is the placement where you can actually make it your job, because many people do this, but I don't know, I don't have access to people's bank accounts. I don't know how well or how not well they're doing. But here's something that I noticed, the way it manifests in my life is that people trust me with their secret information. They sometimes trauma dump, so I have to have boundaries. But even like last summer, I had this situation where there was this one quite famous actor, Hollywood actor, that I met in a restaurant in Paris when just having dinner with a friend, and he just met us. I don't know what about me made him trust me so much, which I feel amazing, but he's quite famous, and he told all the details about what he's going in his personal life, very, very private details, just within an hour of meeting me. I actually ended up giving him an astrology reading, even though that the night I was just planning to enjoy Paris, have a nice dinner. But, this kind of things happen. And even like the people who I worked with, who were like more high profile clients, they trusted me with a lot of very personal, very private information. Sometimes I meet people at a party and somehow we end up in a corner and they don't know who I am. Let's just say they don't know that I practice what I do, but somehow they feel like they want to share everything, how they didn't talk to their mom or dad for 20 years. And today something about me makes them want to call their parent. There's random crazy shit like this. So what happens when you have second house ruler in the eighth, if it's especially in a good condition, is that naturally you will attract people who will trust you with their very deep, very private information, their secrets, maybe their pain, because eighth house is connected to pain. Now, of course, this is a very positive aspect of somebody who works in this kind of industry, because part of it is, people need to be comfortable with you. People need to be able to trust you. So in general, you know, this kind of work, whether again you are in a tarot astrology esoteric community, or whether you are just a therapist, because there are a lot of therapists especially who work with trauma, more traumatic clients, it is something that's favored with this placement, something that can bring you consistent income, just because, I don't know, it's like it's one of those areas, one of those things that come easier to you. You probably are yourself somebody who went through quite a lot of pain, traumatic experiences in your life, which is, you know, something that helped you overcome that, makes you naturally more knowledgeable about, you know, different more traumatic, painful experiences. And if you have, you know, especially Jupiter in the 8th house, if you have Venus in the 8th, Moon even in the 8th, Sun in the 8th, you are naturally a very psychic person. And, you know, whenever we look at somebody, whether they are actually a pretty good astrologer, pretty good psychic, 8th house needs to, like, you know, when I see 8th house and there's nothing happening there, of course there's 12th house as well, which is another important house for psychic ability, for astrology and even other things, but 8th house is important. If I see somebody with Jupiter in the 8th, most of the time, like a lot of my tarot students who study with me on one-on-one have either Sun or Jupiter or Moon in the 8th, and they are very, very psychic. So I noticed that like it's something that you just see. So of course 8th house is also the house of intimacy, so you know, if you have that, you're naturally a hot person, so you could do well in those industries as well. Spies, I mean, I don't know, like if there are any spies. I've never actually read the chart of a spy. Would be interesting one, definitely, to read. And anyone who works also with resources, money, finances of other people could do well here. Like working with other people's money, finances of other people, working like people who work in hedge funds. I actually, a long time ago, I used to work in finance. I worked with due diligence, some of the due diligence compliance in the hedge fund. And yeah, it's one of the professions too that you could do well in. Otherwise, you know, in general, what's my advice for people with second house ruler in the 8th is don't be afraid to go deep, explore your pain, own your sexuality, explore esotericism. And 8th house is the house of death, rebirth, and transformation. Anytime you experience a challenge, even with money, you have to maintain a mindset that whatever challenge you have is going to bring you 100 times more blessings in the end. So you will either make 100 times more than you lost or whatever it is, because this is one of the secrets of the 8th house. It's like a phoenix, death, rebirth, resurrection, and you need to maintain a mindset of whatever challenges are coming up. They are actually challenges that ascend you for everything to improve 100 times more. Like something is not working in this current business, it only means that whatever that challenge is, it's going to bring you to 100 times better performance, 100 times better income. You have to maintain that focus. Other than that, also don't be afraid to ask people for support. You can have a lot more resources available to you than what meets the eye, than what you see at the first glance. So don't be afraid to explore what else is available. There might be some, I don't know, either you know, sometimes it's a form of loans, grants, scholarships, different things that are available to you and you don't even know. And once you start digging, 8th house, right, there's different kind of digging could take place here, you will find it. You will find whatever it is you're looking once you actually start looking. Anyway, second house ruler in the 9th. So 9th house is connected to foreigners, higher education, travel, religion, expansion, going outside of your comfort zone, going far, you know, like studying in a different country, or just pursuing higher education, following father's advice, you know, father's lineages, maybe advice. Whenever you have second house in the 9th, I see this very often in charts of people who work in education system, actually, who work somehow related to higher education, universities, travel, or they could be somebody who lives in a foreign country and makes money in a foreign country, or immigrated at some point to a foreign country and started making money there. Second house in the 9th could also be somebody who works in publishing, writing, speaking, because 3rd and 9th house are connected in astrology as well. So my advice to people who have second house ruler in the 9th is, of course, you know, if you have an opportunity to pursue higher education or, you know, improve your outlook in life, philosophy, just study even yourself, do that. If you have opportunities to travel, do that. If you have opportunity to connect to foreigners or people who somehow are different than you, somehow maybe are more spiritual, maybe even practice something, you know, that is not that's a little foreign to you, like a different culture. This could significantly help you to improve your chances of making more money. Study. Second house in the ninth, you know, as basic as it sounds, education will open more doors here, definitely. And especially the more you expand, the more you go outside of yourself and don't just cling to, you know, the routine, the typical, what you're used to. The more you actually go and expose yourself to things that at first seem foreign to you, not so familiar, this increases opportunities to make money. That, and also foreigners, spiritual people, your own spirituality. Your spirituality could also really dictate, you know, what's available to you. In that case, you know how they say, right, there are limiting beliefs sometimes about money, and just in general there are belief systems even about money as well. Now, I don't have my second ruler in the ninth, but I do have, you know, Jupiter is my second house ruler in the eighth. And you know what it is? I did notice many times that, like, whatever it is I believe is available. Whatever it is, like, whatever limiting beliefs I create for myself, it becomes, you know, self-fulfilling prophecy too. So here, belief system, and, you know, really investigating your belief system when it comes to money and resources, luck and sustenance will help you to hopefully improve and increase that, because that's our second house and ninth house connection wants you once again to improve your philosophy, your trust, your spirituality, your education. And if you believe there is more available, then surely it is. Now, if you do have second house ruler in the 10th, so very often I see this in the professions of people who are doing very well in the career. More traditional career paths quite often could be, now again, it doesn't have to be the only way they make money, but usually the main source of income is people who are growing on career ladder and are doing so very systematically, are doing so with strategy. People who, let's just say, they work for 3 years, analysts, then promoted to, what's the other one, like whatever, at some point managing director, something like that, if they go through finance path, or in whichever corporate even position they are in. It could be climbing the ladder. Now, for those of you guys who are not in the corporate position, again, there is something here that even if you are an artist, even you have social media career, whichever career you have, there needs to be the systematic approach. 10th house is connected to, you know, the peak of your chart. Capricorn is the 10th sign. Again, you don't have to have Capricorn there, but Capricorn, right, is that goat that climbs. You know, there was this funny meme I've seen recently about that goat that just keeps climbing on this mountain that's completely flat. And somebody wrote, there's a Formula One meme, actually, something that's Max Verstappen. You know, that's him, kind of like he never loses races most of the time, right? But second house ruler in the 10th could be very much career, like where whatever you do, I don't care if you are racing, I don't care if you are in finance or in whichever job you are, there is this constantly, we keep climbing until we reach the very top. Whatever it is you do, that's the approach. And you do have to aim kind of higher with this position as well, where, you know, what is the ultimate, you know, what is the ultimate potential? You cannot be like, oh yeah, I'm here at this position, I'm making this and this money, why aim higher? No, this is the beginning of the end for second house in the 10th. Second house ruler in the 10th needs to always keep climbing. You are promoted, okay, did a year in this position, maybe even less, ask, oh, what's the next step? You have to be that way. Actually, even with my personal clients who I coached over the years, something that we've often seen is that, yeah, we need to keep asking, is there is a better position? Is there is a better job? There is, in a way, this traditional careerist kind of approach. Sometimes it's seen, it could be a person who is also in the public eye, because the 10th house is the most visible part of the chart. And if you have this placement, first of all, be ambitious. And second, really do take care of your personal brand. Whatever it is you do, you could be a star somehow, local star, you know, in a local newspaper, in a local magazine, but you increase your star appeal, star quality, and always show up professional, always show up as the best of the best, you know, kind of like, don't dress for the job you have, dress for, you know, the next best, you know, dress even better, you know, than your co-workers do. Like, be the best dressed, don't be afraid to be the best in the room, right? Be that person who people look up to. Now, I don't have this placement, neither do I even resonate with that much of that, but I do remember when I used to work in my finance job, you have no idea, like, I used to spend my hard-earned money to get blow dries, you know, every few days, professional blow dries in Manhattan, had my lashes extensions always on, always dressed on point. You know, I was always, whenever we would go to meetings to like different firms, different hedge funds, I was always the best dressed, even though I was the most junior person on the team. And whenever we would go and meet some, I don't know, chief financial officer of this and that, because I was the best dressed, they would sometimes even assume that I am the most senior person. So, you know, like have Leo mit heaven, so that's a bit of a different thing. But this is something, this is actually a tip, a trick. This is actually a tip, a trick. So dress to impress. Yes, yes, yes. Personal branding as well. Just like second house ruler in the first, second house ruler in the 10th is one of those where personal branding does wonders. Now, if you have second house ruler in the 11th house, wow, this is for people who need to networking, constantly expanding your network, making sure you and your friends, you know, are supporting each other when it comes to income, goals, career, making sure, you know, you are, I'm gonna say it how I'm, you know, how I heard it, making sure you're friends with the right people too, you know, like expanding your friendships, setting right goals for yourself, you know, becoming part of groups, organizations, and memberships. You know, this is where paying even for some membership, you know, country club, I don't know, expensive gym, joining some associations. There's so much available, honestly. Like when you really want to find the way to get something done, you have no clue just how much is available. Going to conferences, going to, you know, meeting, asking people for coffee. You saw somebody on social media, a person seems to be doing well in their profession. Ask them professionally to meet with you for a coffee. Ask them advice. What groups and memberships can you join? You know, your postgrad, if you went to school, that network, using that. Social media with 11th house. And honestly, second house ruler in the 11th is amazing because there's so much available to you in terms of resources too. Social media, again, having a brand, trying to expand your network through LinkedIn, social media, all of that could be relevant, you know, not being afraid also to take a bit of a different path too, because 11th house, even though it's like groups and organizations, there is a bit of this rebel there too. Being that trendsetter, yeah, there's so much available here. Just the key here is to set goals correctly and really explore and expand your networking possibilities. Definitely, it's very straightforward. Now, if you have second house ruler in the 12th, now 12th house is a tricky one because 12th house actually is connected with things that deal with, you know, letting go, giving up something, right? It's dissolving. So yes, people who have second house ruler in the 12th could have more expenses, more expenditures in their life than more typically so. However, 12th house is connected with things like spirituality, charity. 12th house is connected with things like long-term investments, research in something too. It is the house that is connected also with imagination, you know, like people who are, of course, needs to be a specific combination, but people who are like fantasy writers, people who create all this beautiful art, different, you know, alternative realities. I mean, these days also with AI, right, there are so many different things you can do in terms of like creating these different avatars, different art, and I mean, technology is going to go even crazier, I think, in the coming years. And, you know, I don't remember what was in J.K. Rowling's chart. I do know, I think she had Jupiter-Venus connection. I will need to actually do her chart one of the days because I think her chart is extremely interesting. But like people who create this fantasy worlds, like if you think about it, like Harry Potter, it's a world of its own. It's not just a book, right? It's a whole alternative universe, right, that has its own life, living, breathing characters, it seems. So what's advisable for second house ruler people in the 12th is, first of all, be more charitable, because if you're naturally going to do something to help other people, whether it is, you know, actual charity, right, like giving away 10% of your income or more, you know, supporting charities of your choice, or just literally volunteering in local, I don't know, shelter, or helping animals, I don't know, helping children, whatever it is, like maybe volunteering, I don't know, in elderly house or something like this, maybe just helping people, any charitable activity, whatever it is that makes sense to you, is highly favored here, because it will, again, likely protect, you know, your income, whatever it is you're making your money in. And of course, engaging in spiritual activities, creative activities, anything that you can do that can bring more beauty to this world, you know, give people more faith, right? Pisces is the natural 12th house, you know, indicator. Anything that brings more art, more beauty to the world, could be one of the, you know, possible manifestations of this placement. Because 12th house is also a hidden house, you could naturally, similarly to 8th house, be someone who is involved with secrets, with behind the scenes activities. So again, I don't know, wonder if spies have have a lot of placements. I haven't read, you clearly can tell I have not read the charts of spies, but it's something that, you know, apparently is interesting to me with astrology. So definitely something hidden could be hidden, I don't know, maybe hidden geo will not even continue with abbreviation activities, something like this, secrets, hidden things. Of course, 12th house is also house of bad pleasures, so that, you know, could be also one of the things. It could be, I'm trying to think what else, also dealing with people's secrets, dealing with things people hide from themselves even. So another great position for somebody who works with therapy, you know. Even mental asylums could be connected with the 12th house. Of course, that's more rare, but creativity is highly favored here too. So that is all I have. I mean, I could honestly talk about this forever. Oh yes, 12th house also connected, of course, with faraway distant land, any kind of ashrams, spiritual places. So that is, you know, another indication too. But that's all I have for today. I don't want to, you know, make it a 10-hour video. There's a lot to cover here. You can see this is just the second house ruler. There is more, so much more when we assess that. And there is a personal consultation available for those of you who want me to analyze your chart and where you're likely to make money, secrets of prosperity for your individual chart, where I do what we mentioned here and a lot more. So link to book that is going to be in the description box. Other than that, thank you guys so much for joining. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Tell me more also, what kind of videos would you like to see more on my channel? As you can see, I'm recording a lot this summer. I love you all so much. Give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to share, comment, subscribe. We'll talk soon. Again, there is also, I'm going to link some other videos you can watch later. Some of them are in membership side of this channel, some of them are on my other channel. Make sure you watch them too if you're interested in this. And I love you all guys so much. I'm wishing you a lot of prosperity, luck, and abundance. And we're gonna talk soon. Laters. Bye.